Good day, connoisseurs of cardboard. My name is Brad of Chai Socks Cardboard. This is the third video I've made and put on YouTube. And this series, Connoisseurs of Cardboard, is going to be exploring different topics, just kind of miscellaneous topics that don't really fit anywhere else. I'm doing one series on flipping cards. I'll soon start another series on the 1965 Topps set, and this series, Connoisseurs of Cardboard, will fit or include any topic that doesn't really fit into those first two. And so today I'm going to be exploring three different copies of the same card, the 1965 Topps card number one, AL batting leaders. And I'm going to be looking at three different copies in the same grade from two different companies. Now, I don't typically own duplicates, and so this is a little bit unusual for me. The way that it came about is I was prioritizing the beginning of the set. So card number one was the most important card to me there for a couple weeks ago. And so I was looking on eBay. I was looking to pick up a good copy in a 6 or a 7 probably. And I made a few offers, all kind of at one time. I just made a few offers, and one of them got picked up at a decent price in an SGC holder. And then I think the same day I was looking at, I was listening to some content from Adam of Splendid Sports, and he turned me on to myslabs.com, which I had not been familiar with. So I got on there and I was looking for cards, and I found one in a PSA holder at a good price, PSA 7 holder at a good price. And so I picked that up and thought, well, that might make good content to kind of compare these at SGC 7 and PSA 7. And then literally within the next hour or two, another one of my offers was picked up on eBay. And so I ended up with 3 copies of the same card. I'm not going to keep all 3. I don't collect duplicates. I would rather take duplicate money and or the money I can get out of duplicates and reinvest them in the set. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna crowdsource here on YouTube which copy of this card is the best. I'll keep that one, and I will look to move the other 2. So without further ado, I will show each of them. I find that both the video and the photographs kind of offer different perspectives. So I'll start with the photographs, the video. So here's the first one, SGC 7. You can see Tony Oliva, Brooks Robinson, and Elston Howard were the batting leaders in 1964. Nothing too remarkable on the back. The second card I picked up was the PSA 7. You can see that here. Again, nothing too remarkable on the back. And the third one I picked up was this SGC 7. Again, nothing too remarkable on the back. And so let's take a closer look at these, as well as some further information about them. So first, the SGC 882. There it is in photograph form. And the first thing that stands out to me about this is that it's pretty well centered. And one of the things that I noticed in this exercise is I really like the SGC holders against the red background, the colors of the 1965, at least this 1965 card. I like the black framing of the red sort of accents on this card more than the red framing on a PSA holder of the red accents. I was interested to see when this card was graded, and so I've got that information here. This card was graded in December 2022. And if we scroll down, we can see the pop report, 128 total graded. And in PSA 7, there's 21, with about 26 higher, no 9.5s or 10s, and at least 50, 55, 60, probably, it looks like around 70 graded lower. And so, this is, I think this is a pretty good looking copy of the card. Next one up is the PSA version. And again, I don't love the red on red accents for this particular card at least. And the other thing that stands out to me, in addition to the centering not being quite right, is the print line that occurs over Elston Howard's name and up onto kind of right near his ear. So I was interested to learn more about that print line and how that did or should have affected grading. So I pulled up the standards just to familiarize myself with the standards. And you can see that a PSA 7 may have a minor printing blemish. Okay, so maybe, grading is subjective, and if that is a minor printing blemish, then the card still meets PSA's standards. Looking at a PSA 6, there may be a printing defect which does not attract from its overall appeal. And I don't know what the difference between a minor printing defect is and a printing defect that does not detract from the overall appeal of the card. But it's if there is a difference, it seems to me that this would at least be that line there in the bottom right-hand corner of the card, or bottom right-hand portion of the card, should bring this down to a 7. So I think this card, in my opinion, this card is overgraded. And frankly, I got it at an overgraded price, which means I got it at a pretty low price compared to PSA 7 comps. So I can appreciate that and be happy with that reality. But in my opinion, this card is graded a little bit high. It's also, interestingly, it's also a very recent grade. I watched Greg of Midlife Sports Cards. He has a great video on this topic showing when the different generations of holders, and this holder is a 10th generation, the most recent generation holder for PSA, which according to a video put out by PSA means that it has been holdered since May 2024, so within the last year or so. Now, it could be that the card was graded a while back, up to 25 years back, as long as PSA has been grading cards, and it was simply reholdered more recently, or it could be that it was graded more recently. But I thought that was also an interesting nugget to consider. And so finally, we have the second SGC card, and that one you can see is just a smidgen off center, left to right. The PSA card was also a little off center, I think a little bit more off center, left to right. But this PSA card is a little bit more off center, left to right than the first SGC version. We can switch between the two of them. But otherwise, I think is really just about the same. Again, that was the first version. This is the second version on PSA. Looking at PSA's website, this one was graded, if that's interesting to you, in November of 2020. And so it looks to be that this is the most, this was graded the longest ago. Then the first SGC example was graded the second longest ago. And the PSA example was at least holdered most recently and possibly graded most recently. So those are the three versions of this 1970 or 1965 number one AL batting leaders cards that I have. I'm curious to know which one you all think is the most interesting or the most desirable, the best copy of this card. If it matters to anybody, I'm into them for $48 and change for the two SGC cards, $48 and just a little bit of change for both of the SGC cards, and only $38 for the PSA version. So if that informs your decision about which one I should keep and which two I should look to move in order to create a little bit more money for the rest of the 1965 set, please feel free to factor that into your voting. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on this topic, and I look forward to getting your votes so that I can make a decision about which one I'm going to keep. This is also just a little bit of a teaser for my 1965 series. I'm going to be taking a deep dive into the 1965 set, looking at every single card, and using the cards to jumpstart conversations about the season itself. So we're going to be looking at the cards, we're going to be looking at a particular season in baseball history, not one that I think is widely known or talked about, and I'm really looking forward to taking that deep dive into the set and into that season. With that being said, I'm looking for anybody who might want to appear as a guest with me in that series. So if you've got anything related to your collection, or for those that might be a little bit on the older side who actually remember either watching or attending the 1965 season, I'd really be interested to hear from you and kind of slide you into a particular episode of that 1965 deep dive. I'm going to call it the season in a set project. So if you are, if you've collected the set for sure, if you've collected a team in the set, if you are a super collector of a particular player in the set and would be open to talking about how the 1965 set fits into that player run, all of those topics would be ones that I'd be interested in bringing you on and having you part of the discussions. My biggest goal is to get somebody who's still living and played in the 1965 season, or has a card in the set, which obviously there's a lot of overlap there, but it's not 100% overlap. I'd love to get a living ball player on one of these episodes, and so if anybody knows any of them, or they happen to see it, please let me know, and I'll factor them in. Carl Yastrzemski, if you're out there and listening, I'd love to have you on. All right. Well, with that, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this content, and please vote for the 1965 Topps #1 version that you think is the best one that I should keep in my collection. I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Thanks, and collect what you love, flip what you like.